Hello and welcome to Celebrating Simple Life. I'm Kimberly and I've been planning parties and incredible events for the past 15 years. I'm passionate about connecting people, making gatherings purposeful, and making the most out of every moment. Join me as we learn together how to find joy, celebrate the simple things in life, use events to grow your business, entertain with purpose, and have a whole lot of fun along the way. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life. Today on Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, I'm chatting with Connie Herman, community developer and parent program coordinator at the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute. With her extensive background with a BA in psychology and sociology and Bachelor of Social Work degree, certified as a parent coach, infant mental health, positive discipline and everyday parenting, crisis intervention, supporting survivors of abuse, suicide intervention, healthy start, motivational interviewing, and self-regulation, Connie brings all of this incredible training with her personal experience as a wife and mother of 2 children. As a parent, she recognizes how hard it is to put education, personal awareness, and parenting strategies into real practice. Her goal is to help guide parents through all of the judgment, fear, and uncertainty regarding parenting in our society, and to hold a safe space for parents to be open and honest about their own unique parenting struggles. She also runs Parenting Potential, which offers an online and in-person community for parents and caregivers who want to make a positive impact in the lives of children. She has made it her life's passion to empower parents and to help them become the true experts on understanding the unique needs, stressors, and strengths of their children and family. Connie is an absolute gem, and our conversation on parenting today is one you don't want to miss, so tune in. Hello, Connie. How are you today?
I am great, Kim. Thanks for having me here.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. Now, what's hilarious about this episode is that this is my very first remote episode, and my listeners are going to love this because you, as my special guest today, are probably as close to my house as could possibly be, because not only are you a professional in your field and my friend, but you are my neighbor.
Yes. Yay.
So great. I love it. So here we are practicing social distancing and figuring out new life skills and trying to just inspire people around us as we do it.
Yeah, it's been quite the whirlwind of trying to figure out this new way of living right now.
Well, it is, isn't it? And I feel like you are going to have so much insight today to listeners whom a lot of us have been very quickly, and we're all in the same boat, so we can't even really complain about it because this is just the way it is for everybody. We're not singled out, any one of us, to having our school-aged children home full-time, which I know for myself has taken some getting used to, as I'm used to working from home, so that was not a change for myself. This has all felt very normal to just be at home all day, every day, for the most part, besides jumping out for meetings and stuff, which isn't happening right now. But having the kids in my home office is very new for me.
Yes, it makes working much more challenging.
It does. So I would love for you to introduce yourself to my listeners who haven't heard of you before and what you do, just to give a bit of a background here. And then I want to dive in and hear all about your personal and professional expertise.
Okay. Well, I, like you said, my name is Connie Herman, and I have a few different roles professionally, but they all kind of interlink, and they all connect with my personal life too, luckily. So it helps to manage the different roles that I'm doing. So I work for a nonprofit at the Saskatchewan Prevention Institute, and my role there is the Nobody's Perfect Parent Program Coordinator for Saskatchewan. So Nobody's Perfect is a program that was developed by the Public Health Agency of Canada, and it's all across Canada and internationally now as well. And so I manage the program for Saskatchewan. So I've been in love with the program for many years. I've been the coordinator there for almost 15 years now. And a couple years ago, though, because I work part-time, I started to want to do more hands-on stuff, because usually in my role as the coordinator, I support people who run parenting programs. I don't get the hands-on, like, direct contact with parents. So a couple of years ago, I started my own business as well called Parenting Potential, where I provide kind of like consultations and coaching and presentations to parents directly, and I get to have that direct contact with them. So, and I'm learning along the way too, because I'm a parent. I have a daughter who is 5 and a son who is 11. So, when I started this program, I was just about pregnant with my son. So I've been learning along as I do this job, and I don't say that I'm an expert by any means, because everybody's child is different, every parent is different, but I just really feel like as parents we need a lot of support that we really don't necessarily admit that we need or know how to get either. I've been just loving my jobs, both, all of them, and also as a parent too.
That's amazing.
But definitely, thank you.
That is amazing. I love that you have grown your family as you've been helping other families grow too. Isn't it funny how that kind of sometimes works in business too, where you sort of are just in the stage at the same time? And I love that you said that obviously, I think something that you put so much time and heart and soul into, there is a level of expertise to it, but the fact that you get to keep growing and learning alongside and be able to contribute your personal experience as well is amazing. And I find it so funny as a parent myself, how you it's very easy to become a parent without any previous credentials,
Yes.
Anybody can do it, and you are a parent, and then there you are. And I find that there's minuscule things in life that come with extensive notebooks, training, how-to guides, things for dummies. And I don't feel that happens in parenting, which to me feels like the most important job in the whole wide world as you try to raise humans to be good people. And you're just sort of okay, well, here we go. Let's see what sticks, right?
Exactly. I remember when I was pregnant, and, there was all these courses on how to deliver your baby and breastfeed and all this stuff. And then afterwards, I'm like, why wasn't anybody telling me how to be a parent? Right?
Totally. Here we are now with no resources.
Yeah.
We're just supposed to know what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really is not for the weak of heart being a parent, hey?
No, not at all. It'll test you in ways you never knew possible.
Well, isn't that the truth? So I guess this leads me to my next question to you then. Why would you say mindset and taking care of your mental health, especially right now with everything that is going on in the world and life as we know it sort of in a matter of days has sort of flipped to 180 where we're sort of learning a full new routine and how to coexist with the humans we love most under one roof for maybe way more hours in a day than we're used to. Why is that so important? And what maybe are some techniques that you have maybe experienced for yourself or things that you would recommend in order to kind of make the best out of a new situation like this?
Okay. Yeah. So mindset and your mental health as a parent is always so important, right? You always are setting the tone for your children. They're always looking to you for kind of understanding the world and is it safe, right? And but now more than ever, I think it's important and maybe even more challenging than ever before too. for so many people. We all have different circumstances right now that we're in, but for everybody, I think it's pretty challenging and scary times. So children are looking to their parents to try to figure out how to be right now, and everything's a little different for them too. So it's so important that we take care of ourselves first, so that we have that positive energy that we can give to them, that we can connect with them, that we can tell them everything's going to be okay, that we can make them feel safe. And it's kind of like, you have to put on your oxygen mask first, right, before you can put on your children. So you need to be so much taking care of yourself right now.
And don't you find that a lot of people, like myself included, where it almost feels like a backwards way of thinking sometimes, when I know that that's the right way to be thinking, to make sure that I'm okay and well, that I can be the best mom I can be. But it's so easy to neglect that, and so easy to think, I don't know, just to tell yourself on a regular basis that, oh, well, it's okay, like I'm fine, I'll be fine, and just kind of keep up until all of a sudden you get to the point of feeling like you're crashing and burning and you have nothing left, and that's when things start to feel really chaotic. I don't know about you, but that's how it is in our house,
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing to remember. And I think sometimes, especially, this is going to be very stereotypical, but I feel like especially for moms, like I think there's just this like different level of emotion and feelings where, at least for me, I definitely have a lot more feelings of guilt towards situations of, am I doing enough? Am I being enough? Am I enough? Way more so than at least my husband would ever verbalize that he's ever feeling. He thinks it's ridiculous when I'm like, oh, I feel guilty that I didn't do this. He's like, Kim, you've been hanging out and playing with them and educating them and doing great things with them for hours today. Like, why do you think that it's not okay for you to like have a second? And it's like been really helpful to have somebody speaking a sense of reason, because sometimes it's hard to kind of navigate that in your own mind.
Yes. I think especially as moms, I always say that to be a mom is to feel guilty. No matter what, you always feel guilty. And we're always comparing ourselves to, especially social media and what we see on Facebook. I saw one of my friends post yesterday, and it was of her kids doing some wonderful crafts, and she said, I loved it. She said, I'm not going to post anything from the 2-hour temper tantrum before this happened, right? Like, it's Facebook is not necessarily all real, right? Like, it's not showing the whole picture of everything else that's going on behind the scenes for all of us.
Yeah, we're usually not in our right minds when things are hitting the fan to be like, hey, I should document this. This would be a really great post. Right?
Yeah, we're all struggling. And I think one thing about this now with everything that we're going through is that maybe there's a little bit more sharing of that, I hope. I don't know, and people coming together and saying, this is, like, I am doing some things that are really great, but there's times where it's really hard, and it's going to be like that. Life is like that, but right now it kind of feels amplified. We're all going to have moments where everything seems like it's going really good, and then we're going to have moments where everybody's kind of having their little meltdowns too. And it's okay. It's important to realize that that's okay.
And we're all in this together. Like, I think that's the weirdest part for me in what's been going on in the past few weeks is like, it's somewhat comforting somehow to feel like everybody's in this together. Like nobody is immune. Like I can't, at 37 years old, I can't think of another moment in my entire life that has been like this, where the entire world is experiencing something at the exact same time. Not just yourself, not just your community, not just your city and province or country. Like, it's every single human being in the world. And it's just this, I can't help but hope that there's going to be really, really great and amazing things that come out of this, and not to negate all of the really, really difficult things that so many people are going through in their own unique ways right now as well. But so what would you say, as we are home and isolated and feeling cooped up, that would be some, I guess, mental mindset techniques that we as parents can try to adapt into our schedules, as well as, I guess, encourage our children to be adapting these into their schedules as well, because they also need to be able to figure out how to kind of self-regulate a little bit better when life as they know it is also not the same.
So one thing I do is I think about things in terms of energy and managing my own personal energy and tension levels, and then as an adult, as a parent, I need to kind of manage my children's energy and tension levels throughout the day as well. So routine can be really helpful for that, knowing like certain things for kids to have. Routine helps to manage their energy levels, knowing that, when they need to eat, when they need to kind of get outside and get some exercise and wear off some of that energy, when it's okay for them to just relax and watch a show or do some crafts. And it is still good, I think, to have that routine, even though I know there is kind of this feeling like, are we on vacation? Are we supposed to be homeschooling?
Right.
Doing some kind of routine, and it doesn't have to be really structured, but a level of it with some flexibility. Like for myself, I have my kids doing some kind of learning every morning, and we kind of like have gone through what do they want to learn, and I have my son reading to my daughter, so that helps me to have some time to do stuff on my own. So it's kind of trying to figure out a routine that will work with people's energies and give you some time alone, some time to connect with them. We have a couple of educational shows that I can either kind of tune in with them and learn along with them, or I can go do something if I need to. So, and every day we have to get outside. Every one of us has to be outside for at least a half hour, whether it's taking the dog for a walk or them playing in the backyard, because we need that fresh air and even the sunlight on our eyes. Like I noticed that taking my dog for a walk today, as soon as I walked outside, my eyes felt better and I felt better. I'm breathing more. So definitely kind of doing what you can to manage your energies, and kind of or understanding when you do stuff, like kind of gauging how does that make you feel. So today I had like a big Costco cookie and I felt like crap afterwards. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that tomorrow. So things that we can just kind of take note of and start to plan our routines around.
Well, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I feel like that's often not something that we take time to notice because life feels so busy. Like you're not noticing perhaps that something that you've eat or drank or experienced in a day is having some type of feeling on you. You kind of just attribute it to whatever. Like there's not really even a noticing of it. And right now, at least for a lot of us, like this is going to be the slowest type of schedule we've had in a long time. And not that, I mean, as a self-employed business owner, life goes on and you try to pivot and find new ways to do things, but definitely businesses, I know it has been a lot different in the last few weeks than what it was and what it will be for the better part of the future here. And this is the slowest amount of time. I'm like, if I can't be aware of how I'm feeling and being like just more in tune with myself in this state, then I'm pretty much just saying there's never the right time for it, because this is kind of the slowest it will ever be, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I think it actually is a really good opportunity as individuals for us to take that time. We have I've been saying that like since for the last week. We have nothing but time right now to my family, so don't fight over what movie we're going to watch because we're going to watch them all, right?
Yeah. Totally.
But we have time now to connect with one another instead of rushing from event to event and figuring out all these stuff that we have to do in our lives and all the busy schedules that we have typically had. We have.
There is so much uncertainty in the world right now, and while gathering and coming together needs to take extra precautions and in a lot of cases, a temporary hiatus right now, this doesn't mean that we still can't connect in unique ways to keep our relationships and connections strong. If you are on the lookout for a creative way to cheer up a friend, show your significant other, bestie, coworkers, and special people in your life that you care, I've curated adorable, delicious, and unique candy grazing boxes for you to ship out. A beautiful, delectable candy grazing box can be shipped right to your door or as a surprise to a friend's door on your behalf. Free delivery in Saskatoon and shipping available across Canada. And because we could all use a little more joy right now, you can get an exclusive code to receive 15% off by typing CELEBRATE15 at checkout. You can click right from your home at celebratingsimplelife.com and use the code CELEBRATE15 because today is a great day to celebrate.
We are wired as human beings to connect with one another, and I think we really feel that now more than ever, maybe, now that we can't connect with people as much. But we can connect with our families, and so I'm seeing that with my daughter and my son, who have had more opportunity in this last week to connect with one another than in ages, and there is blessings in that, definitely, that they're coming together in a way that I haven't seen before, and
it's
even
it's like their little minds are understanding that they just have to figure it out. Right? Like, that's what I feel like I'm noticing with my kids too. Like, is it perfect? 1,000% no. Like, we have our moments, but to be quite honest, it's been better than I thought it was. It's been more manageable, and like, granted, we're like a week or two in here, so you know, like, it is what it is. It's not ideal, but it also is a lot better than I anticipated it to be, and there's so much more things that it just seems like they just know that they have no choice but to figure it out versus in other times when there's just a lot of stuff on the go. So you keep yourselves busy and you kind of can just not be connecting. And we'll get to the weekend and be like, wow, I don't know if our kids have really spent more than like half an hour together because we're coming and going and doing different things and they have their different interests. And this has been cool to see how they can learn and operate and take care of each other together. And I don't know, like, I know that there's so much stressful. And again, I just want to like reiterate, I'm not trying to negate the fact that every single person is in a completely different and unique situation in the way they themselves and their families are being affected by all of these very abrupt changes that are just out of everybody's control. But like anything in life, I feel like the way that you're able to take these challenging circumstances is really the test of somebody's character and the test of what you feel like you're capable of. And I feel like for myself, I feel like I'm realizing that I'm stronger than I thought I was. Like I'm realizing that this hasn't felt as catastrophic as I maybe thought that it would have, because there have been other things in life that have been really challenging that now, having this circumstance, I'm like, okay, I've already experienced things that have felt harder. So this isn't the hardest thing. So I can be okay with this and make the best of this situation and try to be a person that can inspire people around me for those that maybe haven't had circumstances that feel harder than this. And this is maybe the hardest thing they've ever gone through, you know? So yeah, I agree with you. I think being able to shift our mindsets, and that is way easier said than done. I am not naive to that, because on a minute-to-minute basis right now, it feels like feeling good, feeling not good, feeling good, feeling not good, right? And just one little thing can kind of set you off, because then all of a sudden I feel like it's when you sort of start forward thinking things for myself that when I start derailing, versus being present in just where we are right now, not what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. That's when I start getting ahead of myself and feeling a little bit more anxiety and just like feeling like a warmness go through me of like, ooh, like all of these things. But so like what would you say are like some of the ways, like you mentioned some amazing things already just about shifting our mindset, but how do we try to keep ourselves to the best of our abilities in this, seeing something good that can come out of this rather than being focused on the negative? Because I know, like, even reading news stories right now, like, I'm trying my best to really not to be aware, but to not be paying intricate attention because it stresses me out. And I know that about myself. And that's just me. Other people are different. Other people feel better when they know all the information. They read all the articles. They see all the things. And that for them makes them feel better. And I think all of us just kind of need to respect the way everybody needs to process this right now. And there is no right or wrong way because we're all learning this together.
Yeah, I think again, it's figuring out how it makes you feel, right? Like, and for me, I'm the same way as you, Kim, where I need to distance myself. I still want to stay educated about what's happening, but I can't get absorbed into it because I feel so deeply about it then, right? And so as a protective mechanism, I need to distance myself a little bit, still stay aware of what I need to do and what the reality is. But then in order to stay present, I need to kind of get off social media and as much as I can, and listening to the news. My husband is fascinated by everything and obsessed with it. So I just tell him if there's stuff I really need to know, you tell me, or he gives me like a daily update, or I'll watch like Trudeau talking, but for the most part, I try to not get caught up in everyone's stuff, and just that, because it can be just as the same kind of thing as thinking ahead, right? You're living in somebody else's world, and that can be really stressful sometimes too. So trying to stay present, and that's that opportunity to connect with our kids. We can be more present now than we've ever been able to be, possibly, right? So we have nothing but time. We can sit there, and my kids made a puppet show. They made a little puppet theater and did puppet shows today, and I could just totally be immersed in it, right? I had nothing else anywhere else where I had to go. So things like that can help your mindset to be able to recognize what is really important for you right now is, I know we have so much stuff going on, but our kids are so important to all of us, and so we can at least try to give them our presence.
Yeah, and that's like, it doesn't cost any money. It's we have nothing but time. I totally agree, and it's interesting how there was something like so therapeutic about deleting all of the appointments that were like coming up in the next few weeks out of the calendar. Sounds ridiculous, but it was so therapeutic for me. And I know some people will disagree and I'll get flack about this, but I feel like I was reminded in that moment that I definitely overschedule myself sometimes as a way of maybe not necessarily, I don't know, like I love what I do and I love my job. So scheduling things feels good and great. It doesn't feel like a chore, but I definitely overschedule myself thinking that I can do it all. And it often comes back to backfire on me. And usually the people in the line of fire are my family. Nobody else. I would definitely probably be dropping the ball on my family, even though that shouldn't be the case. They just feel like the safest people to drop the ball on. And like, and for right now, it feels so good to feel like I don't have to have this like nagging feeling in my mind that I'm not doing something somewhere else And it's okay for me to receive a makeover from my 9-year-old today, even though, like, is that really something that needs to happen? Well, no, that's what she felt like needed to happen. And where else did I need to be? Nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And it was great. And we could just hang out, and it was fun. And I didn't, for one single second in that moment, have a thought of, oh man, I should be at my desk working right now, because I'm definitely missing like a bunch of emails and I'm not paying attention to what needs to happen. It just felt so therapeutic, you know? So what would be some of the things that you guys have been doing, just out of curiosity? Because I feel like right now everybody's like asking each other these questions. And so I'm curious, what are some of the things, you mentioned your little puppet theater today. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to connect as a family? And as well, what are ways that you have stayed in touch with others in a personal and business setting that has been, I guess, a little more virtual for right now?
Okay, so as a family, some of the fun things we've been doing is we just try to do at least one thing that's a little different each day. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be big, right? Like some kind of craft. We've been doing a lot of crafts. I'm really surprised that my 11-year-old son has gotten so into crafts. He loves it. I think he would have never done them before, right? So lots of that, some baking, lots of taking the dog for a walk. Our dog has never been so happy. And then the family movies, too. So before, we would always fight about what movie we were going to watch. And so then we would end up watching our own. We'd all kind of go off into our own little rooms, right? And now, no, it doesn't happen because we have nothing but time. So we're like, we're going to watch them all, whether they're like the best for one person or another, right? So that kind of thing, just little things like that. We did a tea party. I got all my teas out and my fine china, and had a little tea party. Things like that we've been trying to do, painting nails and stuff like that with my daughter. And my son is teaching my daughter how to play Yoshi's World right now and a few different video games. So we're finding lots of stuff to do. There's definitely no limit of stuff for us to do, because with my job with Nobody's Perfect too, I brought all my toys home. I get to play with toys in my job.
Who gets to have that on their resume? I love it.
I know. So my kids are pretty happy with all the toys, and my son's been teaching my daughter how to play Beyblades, which is a really great regulating game, like just watching these little tops spin. So there's lots of things. And then as for work, I can work mostly from home. I'm set up through emails and doing Zoom calls. And I've been also working on my master's, so I've been doing that online already. So that's already keeping me busy as well. And with friends, had a lovely Zoom call with yourself.
We got to have happy hour earlier in the week and test out this happy hour via Zoom, which was, we were only like barely into this whole isolation piece of things, but I don't know about you, it just made me feel so happy and connected, almost the same way as if you had all been in my living room, but it felt like we were able to chat and catch up and just see people's faces and grab a drink, and it was like we were going down to the pub after work, except we were all just in our houses. I think I was wearing my sweatpants still, so that was awesome.
I know. My daughter today, this is just a funny story. My daughter today, every morning she gets up and she wants to get changed right away. I'm like, you don't have to, now. But she still wants to, which I think is great. And she's like, we were halfway through the day. She's like, Mom, you're still in your pajamas. I'm like, yep.
Here we are. How can you be a productive member of society still in your pajamas, Mother?
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But I did love the Zoom call. I think I'm definitely going to try to do more of those. Our cul-de-sac. Sorry?
Yeah, well, that was my next thing. Tell the story about what our cul-de-sac did.
So our cul-de-sac, we did a party out in the middle of our cul-de-sac where we all had to be so many feet apart from one another, but we could still visit with each other. So we had a little social isolation party. And
totally, and I peeked out my window and I saw you guys out at the end of your driveways and standing away from each other, and I was like, this is the best block ever. We're standing in our doorway hollering out to you guys on the street, and it felt so comforting just to see everybody who are our friends. And
it was nice. We were only out there for about 15, 20 minutes, but afterwards, my husband and I talked about how much better we felt having gone out and got to have that contact with people.
Well, and those
really
short
nice
stints are it doesn't have to be hours long of obviously when you're going out with a friend for an evening or doing something, obviously it's generally longer than 15 minutes. But right now, I think because we are in our houses and really not going out and doing very much, that makes all the difference in the world for me. And if somebody thinks it doesn't, I think they need to try it, because our happy hour was an hour long, and you guys were out there for a little bit on the cul-de-sac, and we said hello from our doorway just for a little bit, but we were having a FaceTime with our friends, watching the Bachelor finale, and we were on our FaceTime for 3 hours. Each in our own houses, and laughing, and it was so fun. It wasn't the same as it would be if we were all together, but honestly, my soul felt just as full afterwards. I felt just as happy to have had that connection as I would have if we had been there in person. And so I think we just got to reach in and be a little bit more creative, and I think it's reminding me, at least, of the effort that needs to be put into relationships, and what needs to happen to make them thrive, whether that be personal relationships or business contacts or the way that it is. You just kind of got to be a little bit more creative in all areas right now.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I think having those Zoom calls or those little waving from, I know for one of my son's friends, it's his birthday in a few days, so his mom has asked us all to write cards and just tape them to his window outside his door, right? So we can do things like that to still find ways to connect with people, because it is so important, and I think right now we really are recognizing that more than ever, maybe.
I agree, and I think that honestly is going to be one of the greatest gifts that comes out of this whole entire debacle. But okay, so I want everybody to follow you and find where you are. I'm going to link details about where you facilitate, and as well as your personal parenting potential Instagram, so that people can find you and be inspired. And there's so many resources available in Saskatoon and beyond for parents in all ages and stages. And if there is something that you as listeners are resonating with today, or feeling like you need more resources or help, or need to chat with somebody, I will link contact information here, and just know that you're not alone, and that we are in this together. And this is sort of the time to not be afraid to ask for help, and to know that there's so many people and resources around to support us in every stage of life. So thank you so much, Connie, for sharing your wisdom and your expertise, and just the way that you've been able to make a career out of helping parents and help us just realize that we're not alone. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you take care, and I will link this all in the show notes. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks, Kim.
This show would not be possible without you. my incredible listeners. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to Celebrating Simple Life on Apple Podcasts or download and listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you choose to listen. If you really want to make my day, leave a review. These reviews, ratings, and sharing screenshots of podcast episodes that were engaging for you on your Instagram stories and tagging friends that you think should hear the episode too really helps the podcast grow. It makes me so happy that I often select reviews to read on the show, and if yours is chosen, you will receive a special gift from me. Thank you for being a part of my mission to connect stories of business and life. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life.